Welcome to this series of tutorials on Excel Power Pivot. So if you've never heard of Power Pivot before, it's actually been around with us for quite a long time. It was introduced in around 2010. Basically, it introduces a database into your Excel. And what you're going to find is that by using your Power Pivot, it allows you to be able to work with your data in ways that you can't genuinely work with normally in Excel. So it's really exciting to be able to use it. So in this series of tutorials, I'm going to be taking you through step by step how to set it up, how to load your data, how to create calculations. So there's a lot that we're going to be doing here. Please remember as always to subscribe and like to our channel. Now before I jump into this tutorial, which is going to be really short, basically in this tutorial we're just going to show you how to activate your Power Pivot within your Excel. Now please note that you must have the desktop version of Excel running in Windows for this to work. So basically that is one of the criteria that you must know, is that it only runs in Excel on the desktop in Windows. However, let's just quickly talk about Power Pivot quickly. So as I mentioned, it's basically a database that resides within Excel. So being a database, it allows us to work with a lot of data. We can work with millions of rows of data, tens of millions of rows of data. So basically we don't have the same sort of data row problems that we do sometimes with Excel. That as our data gets bigger in Excel, things become harder and harder to work with things. With the database, it's quick, it's easy. So we're going to see that that's one of the first things, is that we're going to work with tables of data and we're going to be allowed to work with lots of data if we want to. We can also create relationships between our tables just like we do in a database. So we set up a relationship and you'll see then we can use the fields between those tables. No longer do you have to do VLOOKUPs and things like that to be able to access the relationships. Also, we're going to be using a new query language. But you're going to see that this is very similar to your Excel query language. So basically the way that we create our formulas in Excel, pretty much exactly the way that we're going to create them in our Power Pivot as well. One thing to note though is that we do work with field names here. So basically we create a field name and then we actually put our formula together. But you're going to see a lot of the formulas are basically the same as you got in Excel. Now please note this is called DAX, so it's Data Analysis Expressions. So as you go along and you learn more and more DAX, you're going to find that obviously it gives you more capabilities. But as I said, this is going to be a very short tutorial. We're just going to look at how we're going to activate our Power Pivot within Excel. With the following tutorials, we're going to jump into a lot more. We're going to be seeing how we can use our pivot tables to present our data, how we can create new calculations, how we can create something called measures, and we're going to look at relationships as well. So a lot to cover. Let's jump into this short tutorial. I will see you there. Welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to be looking at how we activate our Power Pivot within our Excel. Now please remember that you must be running the Windows version of Excel, and you must be also using the desktop version. So you cannot be using the online version with Power Pivot. Okay, so once you've got your desktop version of Excel open, we're going to go to a blank workbook. So just start with a blank workbook, and we're then going to go to our file. We're going to go down to our options. And within your options, we'll see something called add-ins. So we're going to select add-ins. And what you'll see at the top, currently I have no active add-ins, but then it will give me different options in terms of add-ins that I can bring into Excel. So as you can see, we have Power Pivot down here. So we're going to be doing that. So basically, we're going to go down to the Manage. You select the drop down. We say that we want to use the COM add-ins. Got the COM add-ins. We're going to click Go on that. And you'll see now it gives me the option to be able to use Microsoft Power Pivot for Excel. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to click OK on that. And now you can actually see that up in my menu, I now have Power Pivot. When I select that, I now get the ribbon options to be able to work with Power Pivot. In the next tutorial, we're going to be looking at how we load data into our Power Pivot. I will see you in that tutorial.